Shoot the Breeze topic number 5 says dating in your 40s. Hopefully this will work this time. You guys drop me a quick one when I start the video. Let me know if you can hear it out there in the chat.
I need somebody to respond to this and tell me what I need to do, because your girl didn't tell.
What's up, y'all? So earlier today, I was sent this video by my brother Bobby. It's entitled Dating in Your 40s by Crystal Renee Hayslett. I hope I'm not butchering your name, but I watched a little bit of it and I had thoughts. So I wanted to revise it in a similar way that I revised the Meet the Perrys video. It's an interesting conversation that she brings up, but I also would like to add additional male context to some of the things that she said. So if you're a young woman watching this, if you're a seasoned woman watching this, if you're a young man watching this, hopefully I can add some color to this conversation. So I'm going to stop it periodically and give my thoughts.
Hey guys, and welcome to this episode of Keep It Positive, Sweetie. I'm Crystal Renee, and today we are talking about dating in your 40s. And when I think about dating in your 40s, the first song that came to mind was Destiny's Child, Independent Women. All my women independent, throw your hands up at me. And when I think of that, it's because I feel like once women get to their 40s, and they're still dating, they're definitely independent. I know for me, I just turned 40 in October, and it was something that clicked. It's like, I'm literally the day I woke up after my party, I was like, whoa, I had so much clarity on things, and I was very sure about what I wanted to do, how I wanted it, and all those things. But leading up to that, I work in a very vain industry, in an industry that's always looking for the youngest and the hottest and the next. And I was worried, like, Lord, am I getting older? And we also have an industry where we don't tell people our age. So like, even on my invitation, I was very strategic about not putting that I was turning 40, because I just didn't want to put that out there. But everybody found out anyway, so now everybody knows. But when you're dating in your 40s, there's so many factors that come into place. Your biological clock is ticking. Society has put so much stress on, you need to get married by this age. You need to start having children by this age. And
there's been a lot of conversation about women who are a bit seasoned, women over the hill or who've hit the wall, as it were. And, some people believe that there must be something wrong with them. Other people believe that they are in their prime. And I think it really just speaks to the shifting societal landscape generally, right? Back in the day, it was customary to get married, start a family in your 20s, but you were also pretty much guaranteed a job. Real estate was a bit more affordable. You could look forward to a pension. The world, as wide as it is, wasn't necessarily as accessible. So you were content in your city and your town. However, as we're moving into the 22nd century, that's no longer the case, right? People are prioritizing education, men and women. People are prioritizing status, wealth, accumulating material possessions. And when your priorities are those things, it's very easy to put off those traditional milestones, right? Like, it's very easy to look up and now you're 40 or 30 something or even 50. And those traditional things are not there. And unfortunately, because we have so many options, because we have so much access, it's actually made things more difficult when it comes to finding partners or even finding friends. It's hard as hell as an adult to make friends. So I guess I would say to women dating in their 40s, it is kind of fair for men to be concerned about why you are still available in your 40s. It's not to say that there is absolutely something wrong with you, but it is to say that from a male point of view, it's a fair assumption. And this dismissiveness that we often kind of meet that with, I think is really counterproductive, because the reality is, as great and fantastic as you might think you are, if your son, your 20-something-year-old handsome, successful son came to you and he, instead of introducing to you a young, supple young lady who's intelligent and all those good things that he could potentially have children with, he introduced to you a woman that was your age or a woman that was significantly older than you, you would have an issue with it if you were being completely honest.
Sorry, Papa, I forgot to tell you. This is about my wife to be. Huh? Zabako. My father.
Nice to meet you, sir. Your father is such a nice man.
Like I told you, my father is a good man. He's a nigga. He's going inside to tell your house for 100.
I love you.
Thank you very much, baby. He's going to
So when you think about it from that vantage point, it's a bit easier to empathize with why men are a bit apprehensive. And obviously, there is a conversation about the biological clock. A man who wants to have kids, knowing that you can't give that to him, it kind of eliminates you from the running. But the other thing too, even for men who might not be interested in children, is the baggage, right? Like, reasonable men understand that all people come with baggage, all women come with baggage. However, we also understandably realize that it's different coming with 5 years of baggage versus 10 years of baggage versus 20 years of baggage. And if you are a woman in your 40s, you have seen, a single woman in your 40s, you have seen a significant bit of life, a significant bit of experience. And that is now life and experience that your male partner now has to navigate. Your triggers, your sensitivities, maybe even, an ex-lover that you had that was the best thing since sliced bread. But in 20 years, you might have been able to accumulate more than one of those guys. And now he has to measure up and constantly compete with that.
Son. Speaking of which, where's the baby daddy?
Oh, good question, Z.
Thank you.
Could be a psycho. Just got parole for killing her last boyfriend.
Or he could be one of those guys that like to hide in the bush, wait for a strange guy to come to his baby mom's house. And when he gets there, he pops out the bushes, hits this guy in the back of the head with a brick, without even realizing that this guy's relationship with his baby mom was platonic.
They ever catch that guy?
No, it's a cold case. The cops won't even revisit the case. They said they couldn't find a brick.
It's fair for men to kind of be apprehensive and not necessarily be so gung-ho about a seasoned woman. And this, assumption that it's because we're intimidated, I think it's a trivialization. I think it really cheapens this conversation. Men aren't intimidated. We're just, we're a bit more reasonable than we give ourselves credit for being.
I found myself attracting like 20-year-olds. And I was like, what is this? 'Cause I know I don't look 40. That was the first thing. I don't look like how old I am, but I was attracting young people. And with that, it became a stress because I knew they wanted children. I'm like, okay, these are conversations we had to have. And I always wanted to date somebody that's either my age or a little older. And honestly, they'd already had children because I didn't want that pressure. I don't want the pressure of, okay, if he wants children, I can't give him that. Like, what if I pass that stage in my life? And another thing that's really hard about dating in your 40s is, for me, is finding a man that's not intimidated. I've dated, and then men see how I'm living, and it's like, oh, I can't keep up with that. And I'm like, I don't need you to keep up. The things I need from you, of course, I want someone who has something going on for themselves. Of course, I want somebody who can do the things for me that I can do for them. But it doesn't have to always be on the level that I do it, because that's not what I need you for. I need love. I need affection. I need the love languages. And there's 5, and I need all of them. I need someone that is emotionally supportive to me, someone that supports my career. And I've found that a lot of men are not in a space of maturity or even have the bandwidth to give me that. They're so used to just buying women and, oh, I'll go do this, I'll pay for this, and everything's gonna be okay. No, I need you to be my homie, my lover, and my friend.
What's difficult sometimes about these conversations is You know, when you sit and listen to certain women describe their ideal guy, a lot of times they're describing a girlfriend, not a man, right? They're describing traits that would traditionally be found in women, right? And they revert back to this whole, you know, I'm coming across men who are intimidated by me. But then it begs the question that why aren't you able to attract the men who wouldn't be, right? And I've talked about how some women are actually more secure and comfortable in relationships where the power dynamic is more in their favor. And they might not actually admit it, but some women actually find themselves more comfortable around men who make less, men who are less intelligent, men who are less accomplished, because he's easier to control, right? He's easier to manipulate. He needs you, you don't need him. And I think that's actually worth a conversation as opposed to this blanket, men are intimidated by me. And then the other thing,
what he said at the end there is absolutely true in my humble opinion. But something that Real Black Gentleman said out in the chat, and by the way, shout out to Jose who's out there. He said intimidated, LOL, dismissed. But something that RBG said in the chat, which was going to be my little input on this prompt, is women should be married at 25 and hoe at 50, not hoe at 25 and unmarried at 50. And that is an important, I've talked about this before, but that's important in the Black society. There's many different ways that we fail, but one of the ways we fail is on this family front, which is this relationship stuff. Ladies, if you can hear my voice, man, and you're a young woman, this is not about controlling your bodies and all that stuff that folks will try to throw out there. But really and truly, you're supposed to be trying to get out the game between 25 and 28. If you're serious about wanting to have a family and being married and protected and loved and, you know, all of that good and provided for and all that kind of stuff, you got to get out the game. How can I put this without being too explicit? You got to get out the game while you're still a choice thing, while your body is still exclusive. Once you pass a certain age, you're going to rack up the body counts, and I know people are going to say, "Oh, you're trying to control women's bodies." No, I'm just telling you what it is when you deal with a certain caliber of black man. You come around black men too far gone, black men ain't gonna really. I'm talking about black men with some caliber to them, right? What he said at the end there is the other important part. You'll spend a lot of time with what I call these dusty dudes. Because why? A dusty dude, he got time. He gonna lay up and watch General Hospital with you. He gonna gossip with you about that bitch Karen at work. He go lay up and he go whatever you cook, he good with. Whatever you want to talk about, he good with, because you know he with you to kind of keep a roof over his head, his belly, his stomach full, etc. Y'all gotta stop wasting time with these dusty dudes, and then when you get 40 plus years old, talking about I'm dating with purpose now, I'm dating with intentions. If you don't sit your ass down somewhere, you should have always been dating with it.
Cuckoo. Hold up for a second, Cuckoo. Hold up for a second. Lero, because you were the female who listened. Lero or the other sister who, my Bahamian sister, could y'all please come on, please, for this prompt and PC us, please, because I don't want people to think that this channel is an anti-female channel, and we sometimes can be politically very incorrect. And this I can see this going left in a second. So could y'all please come on and PC us, please? I'm begging. I see where that's going. I know where that's going. But could Lero or my sister from the Bahamas, could y'all please come PC us, please? I'm begging. I'm begging. Sorry, Koku, for interrupting. Gamble.
No, I have no intentions of rubbing any woman wrong. I'm just telling you. And side note, this is what uncles are for. This is what fathers are for. This is what grandfathers are for. This is what big bros are for. You got to tell these young women around you that the name of the game is for you to package yourself, your personality, your beauty, your body, your soul, all that. It's for you to package that to get with the best man you can get with. That's not to say you can't go and get degrees and become this and that and the other. You could do all of that still. At the end of the day, the way this world really works and the way we need things for the improvement of Black society, we need positive, we need strong, we need sensible families. And we don't get that through sensible dating practices, not just when you hit 40 plus, but really when you are at the best time in your life to start families. Like, I'm not trying to I'm not trying to control no one's bodies, but I'm saying that should be what we are trying to create of ourselves going forward in the future. This thing where you're getting, you know what? Now maybe I should stop. But this thing where you're being selfish almost by just trying to like kind of live up to what the men are doing or allegedly doing or supposedly do. And Azuli, I ain't simping at all. I hope you ain't talking about me, right? But this thing where you're trying to live up to that whatlessness of men, but that's what we have going on out here a lot. There's a lot of whatlessness of men that a lot of women are not all, but a lot of women are perpetrating, right? Like, cut that out. You could be strong, or you know, whatever that looks like and means to you, but you could also be a lady. You could be a woman. You could be a wife. Get out the game early. Again, what RBG said in the chat is so on point. Get out the game. Don't be out here unwed at 50 and still out here knocking about from bed to bed. Come on, man. What do you think is going to happen? RBG, I'll let you continue. What are your thoughts here?
I mean, it is what it is, yo. I mean, this is what happens when we're not grounded in any kind of like fertility science, any kind of fertility, like, you know, this is just natural things, right? I mean, we've known about people know about the fertility of other people. We've known about this for time immemorial. Women, we just realized that you can sit there and do simple math and see, okay, the women start having kids at this age and they stop having kids around this age, and then somewhere in the middle, a lot of the women have a lot of kids around this time. You know what I'm saying? We get that. Like, now I'm a man. I mean, I do see things about like female fertility where, you know what I'm saying, the science and the chemistry of the cycles and all that, and the things to kind of stall the degradation or the biological systems and all that. I get that. I see that. You know what I'm saying? You know, I wish. I mean, I know that, and we're talking about like just practicality. I'm not pushing anything premature, but there's an optimal look for real, for men and women. I think 25 is optimal for men and women. I mean, for men, it's just the raw development. For both for people, 25, you are at your mentally, emotionally peak. At least, I mean, you're physically more mature at, like, 18. But that's not the point. We're not talking about physical maturity. We're talking about, like, whole body. Like, you want to be a whole person. You could graduate college at 22 and, like, have a little bit of life, and you're at your peak at 25. You see what I'm saying? Men and women. It's just I know when I was 25, I could no one tell me. When you're 25, you know it. And you just that is a blur. It's just a tear. And whatever you was doing, just you know what I'm saying? Like, it's your peak, and that is like when you cannot tell. You can't, when you're 40, you gotta guarantee a family. And it can't be about the baby. It can't be a baby trap either. It can't use the laws and technology of these white people hundreds of years ago to put in place to turn it into some kind of just like financial bondage and severance package. It can't be that. You're 40. I mean, if it's not impossible, fertility, I mean, it's not impossible. It's just that things degrade over time. So it's not optimal, not impossible. Not to say that you can't have a normal, healthy outcome, child, little baby. Not impossible. It's just, there can be complications. And so, and part of it has to be just, ego and humility and recognizing one's place relative to everything. I mean, there has to be an ameliorability about a lot of this. I mean, I don't want to sit here and be like, men want, but I mean, some things some things shouldn't have to be said. Some things where it's not about the noise and trying to interpret the noise and follow the noise and kind of follow the hidden pack, so to speak. You just got to know, like, in this situation, all things considering, what is the most ameliorable? How do you get the best complementarity in any given situation over a series of time? And I don't think a woman who is not looking for a man's lead, a man's direction, even a man's instruction. I mean, there's always time for adult education. Everyone can learn something. You should, never stop learning. You know what I'm saying? Never stop learning. You know what I'm saying? Never stop learning. But, like, it's just, she can't be, it is what it is. The question about, like, was saying, because I saw this video for real. Like, if you're 40 years old and you're not already sewn up, like, like, how many years, months, seasons of not being able to find the groove in what's the word I want to say? Just bond and coalesce emotionally with another person. You got to be able to do that in order to even have a family. Because, I mean, for real, for a family is a 20-year sentence. If you want to be about it, because you don't want to just do the bare minimum 18. That's your child. You want to make sure you're going to be a terror about anything when they're 19, because they still young. Like I said, you optimal when you're 25. Any teenager should be considered vulnerable, right? So it's just one of those things that you got to make sure that you got to get them off the ground and make sure that they achieve cruising altitude and speed. Don't just get them up. Make sure that they're going fast enough too. That's why it's called rearing the children, not just raising them. Don't just lift them up in the air like Simba. Be at their back. Tell them the direction. I got your back. Just cause, son. Just cause. Already kind of energy. I'm gonna pass the mic.
I appreciate it, RBG. Provide triggers for evolutions out there. And she says this, and I want to address it real quick. She says, again, gentlemen, let's not generalize. We need to address her scenario based on her specific circumstances. Let's not make any assumptions here. There's only so much I can say about this lady from a 10 to 12-minute video. I don't know her personally. I don't know her background, her makeup, her energies, etc. I can only go by the little bit that we're getting in this kind of interrupted video because there's commentary, right? But what I was speaking about mainly is about nation. I think about nation stuff more than anything. I don't really worry about the specifics of certain scenarios. You know, no offense to her and definitely none to you, Provide Triggers. But in general, though, as a nation, we need to be concerned about these types of stories. We need to be concerned about how many of similar stories there are to this type of story as well. And my suggestions were my observations of our people when we do it the way I described it, and other people when they do it the way I described it. And I see there's more success. And I think we need to be working for successful nations, not just to have nations, but to have successful nations at that. So I just wanted to address that real quick. With that said, let's thank the forecast for being here tonight. He had to jump off to attend to some affairs. So I appreciate you, brother, for coming through. I will be tuned into you during the week. Hopefully I'll have a chance to get on your panel as well. With that said, let's hear from our boy Buana. Buana, what's it?
Yeah, so I hope that Urzuli comes on because he said he's taking some swipes at me. I really enjoy Urzuli.
Yeah. By the way, provide triggers, Urzuli, Matron, if you're out there, whoever wants to come up. This is the last prompt for the night. We'll end about 11 p.m.
Yes.
So come on up. Buana, go ahead.
Yes, I enjoy them from time to time in their comments. But notice in the background, I know that people who was watching this was seeing Vivica Fox, you know, her image appear throughout this lady's discourse. And the reason for that is Vivica Fox right now is approaching 60 years old. And she is coming to the conclusion in her life right now where she wants a man in her life, a consistent man. I think that Vivica Fox was married before she decided to date 50 Cent and other rappers and scumbags and things of that nature. Well, 50 Cent, well, I don't know if he's a scumbag or not. Let me just take that out. But as a part of when 50 Cent and her broke up, 50 Cent started saying some bad things in terms of what they was doing intimately in their relationship. And I always remembered that. Always remember that statement. And I'm saying to myself, maybe she should have stayed with her husband. Maybe. And not look for the so-called proverbial bag. Because now she is 60 years old, about approaching 60, she's 59, and says she is lonely and she wants a man in her life. So all that independent woman stuff goes out of the window now, and she's left to deal with herself with all the money in the world. I don't see the reason why I wanted the women to come on is because I am not PC either, you know, and I don't want to say things that unintentionally will offend my sisters or alienate them just by giving my opinions on things. Because this sister in this YouTube video says, I don't want a man to be intimidated by me. I'm like, would you have to be intimidated? You have a job and somebody in the bike, and that's what they're gonna intimidate me? Sister, first and foremost, I'm a man. I'm governed by a different rule of law. You're dealing with a different kind of character. You think that because you have a good paying job, that's shit. If I was dating Oprah with all the billions of dollars in the bank, my man had come before her money. So I'm gonna act as if I'm a man. I'm not gonna act as a Stedman. You know what I mean? You won't be governed by my rules first and foremost. Now, to some women, that's offensive because they believe in this so-called modern world. They believe in equality and all that good stuff. But I've been raised by that school of law. You know, I'm man first and foremost. So I'm governed to be the leader and the head of my household. Period. Full stop. To the sophisticated Western-minded female individual, she may find it offensive. They can say the word patriarchy. I ain't governed by that bullshit. To me, that's bullshit. You think when I hear her say that, he's gonna be intimidated by all the things I have, you know what I hear? I hear blah 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 blah. Because to me, that means absolutely nothing. I respect the fact that you accrued and acquired all these things in your working life. Wonderful. I give you a round of applause. But what that got to do with me as a man has absolutely nothing to do with it. Absolutely nothing to do with it. If you want a man in your life, then you have to understand that male rules apply. Male rules apply. If you really don't want that, say you really don't want a man, I just want someone to side up next to me when I sleeping and make me feel comforted and have sex with me from time to time. But I really don't want a man because a man comes with certain conditions and criteria. And if women don't really want that or want to live up under that kind of idea or philosophy to life, then say I really opt out of that. I really just want to satisfy my biological needs and my emotional needs from time to time. But I really don't want a man in my life. We have to be honest with ourselves and the men too, because there are men who in their 40s and are not married and they don't want certain things in their life. So they say, well, I just want, a piece of ass from time to time, maybe some good cooked food from time to time. But I really don't want a consistent woman in my life because that have a condition to it as well. That have a condition to it as well because you have to fulfill certain needs of a grown ass woman from time to time too if you want to be in a serious relationship with her. So these things go across the board. And I don't think that we should beat up one another about it. I think that we should be honest and really go for what we really want and be honest about ourselves. I really don't want the obligation of being married. I just want to be in a situation from time to time where I can have some good sex and have some good food or have the comfort of companionship. But I really don't want that on a consistent basis because me that takes too much work. The reality is most men don't black men don't get married. That's a fact. Most black men won't get married. Most black women won't get married. Most black women won't get married. I know that comes as a surprise for many people, but since women outnumber us, of course, most black women won't be married. They won't be picked. So what they could do in the interim period, who knows? Who knows? But you want to live a happy life. You want to live a satisfied life. You want to live a life full of respect and things of that nature. So you got to do these kinds of things for it. I look for the best outcome from man on women. But we must be absolutely honest with what we want in our lives and don't lie to ourselves. Imagine Vivica Fox dating a man like Coco. Coco could look at her and say, yeah, put your bags in the corner. You need to go do this and that and the other thing. She gonna look at Coco like, oh, you crazy? Yeah, I'm Vivica Fox. And then Coco can say, who the fuck cares? In this Bahamian dialect. So it could be a push and pull situation. So let's not fool one another. Let's be honest in terms of what we really want. If the married people who want to be married, they want to be in a committed relationship, wonderful, beautiful. But for people who just want to pass through and want companionship and want sex without the obligation of marriage, then you have to be honest with your counterpart. Let's not waste each other time. Because that's the time wasting exercise, I think, from time to time. And it'll only lead to disrespect and tears. Disrespect and tears. So, but I'll leave it there. That wasn't too. I hope that for the ladies who were listening, I hope it wasn't too disrespectful. But that's where I am with it. I'll leave it there.
Yeah, I appreciate that point. I always say the truth is not an offense, man. And again, if we talking about cultural revolutions and nation building, I mean these are real conversations that had to be had. The idea that you played the field and now you're 40, 50, or like in Vivica's case, almost 60, and you wanna now get serious? Why would someone take you seriously? Why would I, and again, I don't want to offend, but why would I buy the town bike? And vice versa too, by the way, ladies. Y'all shouldn't be buying the town bike either. But why should I do that? The best thing that we can do is have healthier relationship schemes. Go back to, I think I saw a trigger one I mentioned in the chat earlier. Go back to rites of passage, where young women and young men learn what their duties are, what they're supposed to be working towards, what they should be trying to achieve, so that our communities can be stronger. And one of those things, and I mentioned this before, maybe even last week I mentioned, or 2 weeks ago, one of the things I always liked about the Nation of Islam is that even though they have their problems, like everyone does, and I have issues with them for the most part, I always liked the idea that they had like how you have Sunday school and all that. They had like schools for the young men and women to go off and kind of learn how to deal with one another. You know, and you should want to get out the game early. In the chat, Kofi said, well said to Buana. RBG in the chat says, women who play too much know not to fly straight. Kofi says, women at the age realize that they may be all alone. Children left the nest and grandchildren coming. He goes on to say, Kevin Samuels will tell her to get a dog. Real Black Gentleman says, those who do so wield the devil's power and only seek arrested and retarded development to make men into children. That's a excellent point again. It goes back to that earlier point. Like, stop dealing with these guys who you could control. These are usually not quality men. These are men who don't like accountability. So they don't hold you to none, but that's hurtful to you, which is hurtful to all of us. If our black women aren't accountable to themselves and to their community, that's a huge loss. Because why? The women are the first teacher. Then what are we to expect from the children coming up? You know? Erzuliism says women don't want to cater to men, especially at 40. Women want to do whatever they want. They want to hold all the standards, but don't want to abide by man's standard. He said at 35 to 45, they are full of misandry. That's interesting. What say you guys in the chat to that while I ask my panelists if there's any last thoughts on this prompt tonight? Juan, any last thoughts?
Can I say something? Look, for real. I'm not sitting here and saying that women don't have faculty of reasoning and any of that shit. This is what I'm saying is that the level of cooperation in natural kind of we're talking about like biological imperative type stuff. Like, if I'm going to go out and do something, I already know how to go out and do it. You have to compliment that. I don't need your 100% to what I'm doing. If anything, I need a tactful 20%, a tactful 5%. Do you see how that works? But it's her ability to understand that it's not, I don't need so much from her. It's just the kind of I think that most men are like this. Like, they don't need their women to do what it is that they're doing to do the core fundamental, because a man's going to take care of himself. A man's going to take care of himself. It's that even if he's bringing all the money, I mean, if she isn't doing anything for him, he doesn't need her. You see what I'm saying? There has to be, it can be intangible, it can be tangible. She can physically do something for the man, even though he has all the resources, whatever, somehow the residual resource that just by being next to him, she can arrange his arrangements in such a way that you see what I'm trying to say? There are ways about it when you reason it out. You have to, if this doesn't work, what was kind of like Cat Williams, I had, this don't work, switch it up, trying shit and trying shit, switch it up, trying shit and trying shit. The kind of methodology that overruns emotionality. If I make a mistake and I basically have a mini temper tantrum and not like look at the various aspects of what I did and not vest myself into the failure and just seeing that, okay, that didn't work. What if I try it somewhat differently? or if seeing how maybe that level of just making small adjustments, maybe I have to try a level higher. I might need some help. Be brave and ask for help, and you can see how this works. The kind of methodology that makes adjustments when there are problems, that seeks to solve problems, or at least at a minimum bring things to a base evenness, where if things were unstable, they're at a base stableness, and people are at ease. Stress, physiological conditions are settled. People are breathing easy. We're happy. We're encouraging good health with one another. These are kind of what's the word I want to say? Symbiotic. You know what I'm saying? And it's the nature of the symbiotism that is not constant. It's not constant. It's not stagnant. Sometimes the symbiotism, it's kind of like tennis, or I don't know, I'll say tennis, or I'll say football. Like sometimes, like the linebacker isn't always gotta be behind the line. If one of them running backs or one of them tight ends go into motion, one of them linebackers might have to play a wide receiver. That's just the game. It doesn't matter that, well, I'm a linebacker. I know role. Now you got to be next man up. And being next man up is in the way that, if when I'll say submission is a substitute for the mission. If I do it 95% of the time, you sit there and you watch me do this, you're in practice with me. If for some reason I might trip up, you might be in a position to carry my leg, so to speak, for that day while I heal up. Because you know what I do? You sit there and watch it. You're with me. And, you was a sub for the mission. And you got to know that there's going to be success and not just be like, man, it's all bad. It's all bad. I mean, that's just men and women. It's not about nature of people. I'm going to say that. Got to be a lot more methodical. I'm going to pass the mic.
Okay. So, yes. So what I would say quickly, Koku, is when Razuli says that at 35 to 45, women are full of misandry, I hope he's also talking about his white snow bunnies too, because he's leave his white snow bunnies out and I would seem to focus on black women. But there's always an element of truth. Sometimes when Razuli speaks, sometimes I may not like it, but there's an element of truth to it. But that's not only misandry, but also the men are jaded as well. The men at that, usually at 35 to 45, usually some women are divorcees, or if they have not been married, they would have experienced some traumatic situation. Men and women, not you can't genderize it just to women, but men and women would have faced some traumatic situation in their lives, would may cause them to be jaded and angry towards the opposite sex for whatever reason at that point. Because usually in the 20s, they may get married and be in love and believe in human potential and all that good stuff. But then when they reach 35, they realize, well, their lover mate or partner or husband or wife may not have been the person who they thought they was. So now they go through the process of divorce or breakup or whatever. So now they're angry. But I would say for people like that, not all people are in that scenario dealing with traumatic situations and seek to beat up everybody with the same stick as their husband, partner, or baby daddy or baby mama. Some people just, didn't get married or wasn't in that scenario. They're not jaded. They're open to a relationship, but they are people who choose in a way that they don't want to just choose anyone. Because you can't just choose anyone to be a partner and a mate. There's a lot of junk out here. There's a lot of filth out here and sewage, raw human sewage out here, posing as human beings, ain't suitable to couple with any other human being. And you don't know that until you really deal with what's out here right now currently. And some people want to make the best decision for their lives because sometimes commitment is a permanent thing. So you want to be able to choose a partner where you're going to be happy, most happiest with. Sometimes sometimes it take a long time. It don't walk through the early 20s. Sometimes it may take a longer period of time. especially when you're trying to choose a right partner. When you're 20, your brain ain't developed yet, so you don't even know yourself, let alone somebody else. So you learn to, and when you get older, you learn to really configure what it is that you like first and foremost in terms of a partner. You realize and recognize more things about yourself. That's an unfortunate state of things. They used to say, uh, or old too soon, smart too late. And what that means is that sometimes you figure out the world, but when you get to really understanding what the world is all about, you too old to do anything about it. And I think that sometimes people really need to evaluate, because the society is changing. It's much different from what we know. The rules have changed. The social contract that we was bound to, Koku and all other brothers back in the day, is not the same social contract that women and men are committed to now. Where the women stay at home and be mamas and that's not the social contract that they under, and they governed by no more. So to choose who is who, it might take a longer period of time. Who's to say what that time will be? So yes, you have jaded people who absolutely hate the opposite sex. You have black women out here who hate black men with a passion. There is not wrong with that. There are black men out there who hate black women, and they hate women in general. Really and truly, some of them is undercover homosexuals. We ain't even gonna go there. The only thing I would say is that when you are choosing a partner, you choose a partner that's best for you. Choose a partner that's best for you. Try to make a good rational decision. And yes, there's gonna be no human being is perfect. What you could work with, try to work with as best as possible. But when you meet a woman, if she is intolerable, no matter how beautiful she is, no matter her body shape, no matter how she smells and things, no matter what her job status and classification is, if she ain't for you, let her go. She's only a human being. And I say that to my sisters who look at men who have money in the bank and have certain level of sophistication and education. If these people are not compatible with you, let them go. Choose to marry the garbage man instead. If he make you smile, if he make you feel good, and if he is consistent, choose the garbage man instead. Don't get caught up with these superficial categories and dealing with men and women and things of that nature. You know what I mean? A human being is just that, a human being. They have the potential to take you to heaven, or they have the potential to send you straight down to the freaking depths of hell. So you choose within your own consciousness and mindset. No mind these crazy people out here who tell you what you need to do for your personal life. You make your own decision and be ready to lay in the bed that you make for yourself. That's what I would tell the brothers and sisters, under the sound of my voice. But I'll leave it there. Coco, go ahead, bro.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of rugged individualism there too. We have to be thinking about our community as well. We said his name a few times, so he appeared. Razuli, how are you this week?
Yeah, I'm fine. How's everything going?
Good, good.
Yo, my main thing is that at a certain age, between a woman in the 40s has so much trauma that she has, granted from family and from dating different men and stuff like that. Unless they do the work, like unless they go to therapy, and that's men too, the collision is gonna be terrible. I don't think at 40, I'm single. So, and I've met women who are 40, between 30 and 35 and 40. They are they are very arrogant, they're very prideful, and they're very demanding. And another, when they say, and there's no pride in a love or in a relationship. And I think women are very prideful, and I blame men for that, because men, if a woman is good looking as a 10, they let her get away with everything. They don't hold her accountable. And women have been going with that. And even our fathers, I say fathers don't raise their daughters to be wives. I think fathers raise their daughters, especially nowadays, to be that same independent woman that don't need a man, that they were facing at their age, that's what they're putting out there now. So this young lady said, "Oh, men are intimidated by my money." No, we're not. I mean, I'm not saying, okay. Let me not say that some men don't feel inferior to it. It's how you act with the money. So if you're a six-figure making woman and you say, "Oh, I want to go on a trip to Greece tomorrow, next week," and if your men tell you, "Whoa, nah, why you want to do that? We shouldn't. Let's wait till Thanksgiving or something." What you're gonna be? Oh, it's my money. I could do whatever I want. So by doing that, it seems like you don't want to be under a man. You want to do what you want. Technically, I think you want to do what you want, and then at the same time, you want the protection of a child. Oh, he has to protect my feelings. He has to do this, this, that. But meanwhile, you don't want to be under his covenant. So I think this all starts with what girls and young boys see growing up. The black family unit is in terrible condition. I'm not saying all of it, but a lot of it is. So if I have a brother that I know, I was talking to him about his daughter or something like that, and he said, "No, I'm gonna raise my daughter to be independent, but she doesn't need to rely on a man." And I said, "Brother, isn't that the same thing you're going through with the baby's mom?" It's so clear that men right now could be like, "Oh, these women are too independent or too this and that," but they raise the same young girls. Uh, and all of this, there's a puppeteer that's creating this friction between black men and black women. We're not talking about the elephant in the room. A lot of those things that our sisters got in their head is pumped to them by the culture, the secular culture. All that romantic shit. Oh, I want to go out. You got to make me feel good. I got to be happy, happy, happy. I'm not saying for you not to be happy in your relationship, but that happiness that women are chasing like a drug, it doesn't exist. Like that exuberant happiness that they see in movies, that they hear about in music. Music, movies, flowers, all of that are making women so prideful that when a regular man comes to them, or a man of substance, if he doesn't do none of those things, oh, he's not good for me. Oh, if he doesn't run in front of me and open my door, nah, he's not good for me. If he doesn't give me 12 billion flowers for Valentine's, mama, you 45. You're not even 20 no more. And again, women look at it. Men, I could be 45 if I'm financially secure or whatever. You could get a woman. You could reproduce. Women don't understand that. Based on what they tell us, as women get older, it's more difficult for them to get pregnant or whatever. This young lady right here is talking about, "Oh, I don't want no man to give me pressure to have kids for me." So what are you bringing to the table? What is she bringing to the table? Money? Any man? Most men don't really care about a woman's money, I would say. So this young lady's talking about, "Oh, I don't want the pressure to be having kids. I don't want to date younger men because they might want to have kids." So what you there for? So she's just there to have sex and what, and be loved? So this young lady, even though she's 40, she's caught between a hard place, a rock and a hard place. Because most men, even at 40, they're looking to date a woman that's younger. Because when you're younger, like somebody had said, you don't have all these traumas that a woman at 40 would have. And unless that young lady at 40 is willing to work to understand her trauma, to understand her trigger, then we're just colliding. Men and women are just colliding. A man is traumatized by his own shit. Women are traumatized by their own shit, and they just colliding. And I do realize this at this age. This young lady is 40. Even at my age right now, I'm not willing to change certain stuff. When I was 20, I might have been willing to change certain stuff. As boys, when we grow up as boys, we become boys. You know how people used to say, "Oh, you young, Don't worry about that. Go after other women. You need to start telling your boys to be sexually promiscuous at a young age. Yo, find your woman. You don't need to be having sex because you're 22, 23. Find your woman, bro. And if you want more than one woman, you could do that. But stop using women for their bodies and then for your sexual pleasure and just throwing them out. And then those same women, when they have body counts, because they accumulated body counts when they were younger, now we at our 40, we don't want them. So we got to take accountability for our behaviors too, as parents, as men. Yo, if you're, I was watching something, I think I said this before. A young man told his mom that he was in love with this girl. The young mother told him, no, you're too young. You got to be chasing. Why are you telling the young man that? Yo, we got to switch the dynamics between young women and men, especially black women and black boys and black girls. If we don't fix that early, we're just going to be fighting each other as we get older. And I think as they get older, I think women are more of a loss than men, because men, biologically, they still could reproduce to whatever. And when you hit 40, even Vivica Fox said something. Vivica Fox said, oh, I wish, she said 50 Cent treated her the best. And she said, and she said something. And when I looked, when they were dating, 50 was 30, she was 40. Vivica's at 40 thought she could do better than 50 at 30. Vivica's at 40 thought she had so much more to offer than 50 could offer to her. 50 a multi-platinum. I'm not saying 50 morally was all of that, but financially and whatever. So at the end of the day, dating is the dating game right now is really horrible, I think, for both men and women. But I think women have a delusional mentality that just because they look good and they're this, that, oh, we have to abide by standards, but our standards are you're a misogynist. And I think all that misogyny is cloaked, all that is misandry cloaked under misogyny. So that's all I have to say for that.
I appreciate your input there, Zuli. Is there any last words for this prompt? Well,
Erzuli is a brilliant brother. Sometimes, let me put sometimes on that. You know, when he feels like it. And I always remember when Vivica said no, when 50 Cent said, when 50 Cent and Vivica was breaking up, one of the sexual things that Vivica was doing was licking 50 Cent. I mean, it was really disgusting, man. And I can't take that out of my head when he said that shit. So it's like I look at her crazy now. I'm like, who man would want to mess with her after 50 Cent make that public statement? Who man would want to mess with her, bro? Who man? I don't know who, you know, but good luck to her. I think that Erzuli says some things from time to time. It's harsh, but it's true. I don't like it. I don't like how he says it. But when you evaluate it without emotion and look at it as a cold, hard situation, it's facts. I can't get around it. One of the things Erzuli said last time, you see, he was calling black women state property. I had to think about that. And that really never leave me. So why would he say that? You know, why would he say state property? You know, but like I say, some of the things I try to look at in a very logical, reasonable way without being emotionally attached to the things that were said, and I ask myself, is it true or is it not true? But I'll leave it there, Coco. I'll leave it.
One time I want to say, like when I said women are state property, I'm saying that they are already been programmed. The husband and the boyfriends are the side dudes. They already impregnated your woman through her mother, who passes it on to the daughter and to the father sometimes. So a lot of a lot of women think they come into relationship, they're gonna lead you. if not directly or indirectly. What do they say? Oh, men is the head, but the woman is the neck. That's playing you. Meaning that when that thing, and a lot of old school men love saying that shit. Oh, I'm the head, but she's the neck. Oh, happy wife, happy life. Bro, if a woman tells you the head and I'm the neck, that means she's controlling you. So I said to say this: a lot of men right here, they say, "Oh, I have a great woman. I have this." Okay, my brother, stop doing the thing that makes her feel happy. By that I mean, stop buying her those Chanel's bag. Stop taking her out every other day. Stop giving her 30 flowers. Let's see. Stop celebrating Valentine's Day. Stop celebrating Christmas. Stop celebrating Thanksgiving. Stop celebrating those stuff that the secular would tell her is what makes a good relationship. Don't update to a 7-bedroom house. Tell her now the 3-bedroom is fine. See how long she stays with you. Once they infuse, and then I'm gonna use the Bible. Once the snake got the woman to bite the apple, she was no longer Adam's wife. And I'm just using that as a whatever the word is. So the woman that's in your house is not is being impressed upon by somebody else, by the world, and you have to fight against that every day. Oh, I want to get you. A lot of men who are freaking Afrocentric and all of that. Oh, my wife, I gotta get my wife a Louis Vuitton bag. For what? I gotta buy a $30,000 ring. For what? Diamonds are not even rare. Diamonds are fake, are not rare anymore. But if you don't most women, if you don't propose to them with a diamond ring, yo, they're not looking at you for shit. Your woman? That's what I mean by that. If your woman is not programmed by your culture, she's not really your woman, bro. If your woman is not programmed by your morality of your culture, that's not your woman. And a lot of us men have learned to compromise with it. But if you look deep down in it, you realize she's the neck. She's implicitly she's controlling. They're controlling you through her. But then again, that's all this we have to go through. All this we're just colliding. Especially, I'm only referring to black relations. You know, we're just colliding with each other with a bunch of traumas, and I think a lot of us want to be in relationships for love, not for the betterment of our people. Being in a relation, choosing a black woman and choosing a black man is not just for love. That's a political statement. That's power. But he's not. Anyway, man, that's all I have to say, man.
All right. Shout out to Arthur out there in the chat. He said we need Jeebus. That's the show for tonight. I really do appreciate Zuli coming up, sharing his thoughts on his last prompt. I do appreciate everyone else who was up here tonight. Forecast, Bakari, Black Steel, RBG, Buana. I appreciate everyone who's in the chat participating. If you're a lady, if you're a black woman out there, an African woman, and you heard this discussion and you disagree with any points being made, by all means, join the Discord, navigate to the Shoot the Breeze channel, and post a prompt that we could go over next week that refutes it. And by all means, come on up and speak to it as well. But in the meantime, let me get shout outs from you guys. Real Black Gentleman, what would you like to shout out this week?
I'm always sometimes I just draw a blank. I had a long weekend, so I was able to. I don't know. I'll shout out my mom, I guess.
Shout out to
I
RBG.
shout out my mom. I was able to talk to her for a minute, so I'll give her a
shout out to RBG mom. Shout out to.
Razuli, what would you like to shout out this week?
I want to shout out the Kenyans for coming to save Haiti while their country's in shit. Shout out to the Kenyan brothers. Shout out to them. Keep doing a great job that you're doing of improving Black people's life in our continent. Another shout out is to the people. What is that? The Grenada. I mean, I know a lot of people are going through the hurricane. Hopefully, everybody's fine, and we got to show them some support by donating stuff to whoever. If you could find your local people who are doing stuff to send stuff to those islands, yeah. I don't understand how those hurricanes keep shitting on us. Meanwhile, I don't understand this. I hear a lot of time people say, "Oh, the hurricanes are coming from West Africa due to the slave." How you hurting us? I don't understand that. But hey, that's it.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Razuli. One, last but not least, what would you like to shout out this week?
Yes, sir. So first of all, shout out to RBG's mom. I hope she is healthy, and I hope she's well. In terms of whatever she's doing, I hope she's well. Shout out to Razuli for coming on tonight. Sometimes Razuli say some profound things. I gotta give it to him. I may not like it. I may not like the way he says it, but if you really put it around in your head for long enough period of time, the mind is right. But it's just a harsh truth to swallow from time to time. But I have to, say shout out to him for giving that truth from time to time. Even though whatever. But shout out to the Sahelian states, my brothers in Abraham Traore and that mix, them three or four African countries right now would have met, and Abraham Traore and all these African presidents in that area are being received like rock stars, For people who say that Pan-Africanism is dead, I would just dare you to see what's actually going on right now with them 70 million African people right now. It's almost like they holding like a freaking, they are being received more so than anything in the world right now. And it's interesting that the Western media is not taking it up. But shout out to the Sahelian states who would have met together. They convening together. They speaking. They having conferences. They doing business. Hey, shout out to them. They represent what the future of Africa means to all the rest of the world right now, and they are at the forefront to what need to be like almost like a disease spreading throughout the African world and the Black world itself. But what these dudes doing, man, is dynamic. It's dynamic, So shout out to them brothers as well, and shout out to the Bitter Medicine podcast once again, for giving that good news, that good information, and informing the brothers and sisters around the world and around the diaspora about what's really happening in the world. But I'll leave it there.
I appreciate all of you for taking the time to hang out with us tonight. Shout out to African Streams, so I'll shout out tonight. But I would like for us to create something similar to African Streams as well. So if you have any talents that you think you can donate, time, efforts, etc., just hit me up and let me know. A shout out to Kofi the Black Critic, the newest addition to KWAZ Radio. So make sure you guys subscribe to Kofi's channel as well. The Forecast, Brother Bakari, Realm in the Bush, and Oni, and Harsh Rally Podcast. We'll be back next week. Until then, you guys be good. Peace.
Thanks for listening to the Bitter Medicine Podcast with your host, Koku. If you like what you just heard, we hope you pass along our web address, bittermedicineblogs.com, to your friends and colleagues, and share our show to all your social media. Be sure to check out our archive section on our website for previous podcasts. This has been a KWAZ radio production. Join us next time for another session of the Bitter Medicine Podcast. Follow us on Facebook at Bitter Medicine Show, Twitter, Bitter Meds, Tumblr, Bitter Meds, Instagram, Bitter Medicine.